versus Maine. 11-2-1 for both players. Andrew Maine picking up his first draw of the tournament, I believe, with Jerry Thompson last round. So both players at 11-2-1. And we are underway. Ely will start off with a Temple Garden into Birds of Paradise, declaring that he, some sort of probably collected company Court of Calling deck.
Right. That's usually what your Birds of Paradise opponents are going to be up to.
Now, we saw a version before. We saw Obzon Company versus Kiki Cord yesterday. It was actually a real great match featuring Jeff Hogan. If you haven't found that one, we're going to have that one on the archives for you. What it turned into was the Obzon Company deck was a beatdown deck using Gavany Township to try to win the game, and the Kiki Cord deck seemed like it was just trying to combo out the whole time. Do we think a similar thing is going to happen here, or is this more of beatdown both sides?
So it really depends how your draws line up. The thing about these decks is you have a lot of one-ofs, some weird numbers on cards, access to combos that's based on how you collected company. If you draw a bunch of Court of Callings and get a bunch of mana creatures, then you can choose which role you want to play very effectively.
Kassis plays a turn 2 Kitchen Finks off Westvale Abbey. And while we're talking about standard cards, Kassis, his removal spells here, 2 Path to Exiles and 2 copies of Declaration in Stone for this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, when you cast Declaration in Stone, your opponent doesn't just get to untap and have access to that value like they do with the basic land that you get with Path to Exile. So that's an interesting call. I do like it.
First play from Maine is a turn 2 Anafenza Kintree Spirit. Now this card seemed a little underwhelming. Remember, it is part of that infinite life, infinite damage combo that we see in Obzon Company.
I also particularly like Declaration in Stone in these Birds of Paradise mirrors. You have those games where your opponent goes birds, birds, maybe even a third birds.
And plays 3 clues in the first 2 turns.
Yeah, you just wreck them. Yeah, clue, clue, clue.
Well, at least he has 2 lands when he's done with it, right? He can start chipping away at those things. Ely, talking about birds, birds, birds. Well, how about 3 Birds in Paradise for Ely Kassis? He spends his whole turn, he swings for 3, knocks Maine down to 13 because Maine's been playing Shocklands, but then plays a whole host of mana creatures. He now has 3 Birds of Paradise and a Noble Hierarch in play.
Yeah, Kitchen Finks being an element of a combo just seems kind of cheaty with how good it is at just being a magic card.
Yeah, it has Andrew down to 13 on its own. Now, Kassis' deck is much less of a combo deck. It actually seems to be wanting to beat down more often.
Yeah, he won't be comboing with the Finks himself.
So Andrew Maine for the turn plays a copy of Kitchen Finks. He bolsters onto his Anafenza Kintree Spirit. And if you're a fan of Ely Kassis, now you have to be worried about Maine.
Absolutely. He's just one combo piece, a sacrifice outlet off of gaining infinite life. And as we established, Night of the Reliquary with the Retreat to Coral Helm combo can't deal arbitrarily large amounts of damage.
Andrew goes to 1,000,000 life. Ely won't have a way to kill him. Now the sack out, we're thinking Court of Calling, Viscera Seer. Is there anything else available for Maine?
So yeah, it looks like it's pretty much Viscera Seer.
Let's see if he can find that piece. Does have the 4 chords and the 4 companies to try to find it. So we go back to Kassis. He's got the writing's on the wall. Maine's going to try to combo him out.
And I believe that Maine does have a collected company in hand. If he has a land into that, that's always a good line. Or if he just has the Viscera Seer here, that's very bad news for Kassis.
So we'll see what Ely wants to do here.
He wants to try to win the game.
Oh, wow. All right. So he's going to force Andrew to combo him next turn. After playing all 4 of those mana creatures, he sacks all his mana creatures and his Kitchen Finks to flip Westvale Abbey into Ormondal Profane Prince. I feel like we're covering standard again.
Yeah, this game's going to end faster than a lot of those standard games, though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess standard we aren't flipping Westvale Abbey on turn 4 very often, but here it is, a 9-point life, 18-point life swing. Maine's down to 6, Kassis is up to 26, and now he's just going to pass. No whammies here, you know. We'll see whether or not Andrew can assemble the combo.
So I like this line from Kassis because it says to Maine, if you don't combo me, you're dead next turn, or puts the pressure to find a Path to Exile. And if it is just a path, that is the weakness of this line. Of course, there's not really much in the way of main deck Path to Exiles. Andrew Maine doesn't have any in his main deck.
All right, so it is Birds of Paradise for Maine, and then a copy of Court of Calling for 3, actually. Going to get Fiend Hunter to take care of Ormondal. Now you might think, why didn't he get Viscera Seer and go for the combo here?
So Ely does have mana up, and that could be the concern here.
Right, so if Ely has something like a Path to Exile, it would disrupt the combo, but Andrew's much safer here, just exiling the Westvale Abbey.
Right, and Ely had to sacrifice a lot of resources to get that Ormondal into play.
So no combo, but Ormondal under Fiend Hunter, and remember, even if Ely removes the Fiend Hunter, that card will come back as Westvale Abbey again. The demon will be trapped back in the church, so to speak.
Right, when it enters the battlefield for the first time, it comes as that land.
Just a land for Kassis. He passes back. He had the all in play, and it looks like Andrew was at the ready with an answer. And maybe able to win as soon as next turn. An Eternal Witness in Andrew Maine's hand should be able to get back that Court of Calling and now find the combo.
Yeah, he's pretty much home. At this point, there's no reason to really care about Ely having some kind of interactive spell because you're winning by so much.
Just taking his time, he's going to go ahead and attack.
And this checks to see if Ely has something like a Collected Company, to see what kind of spells Ely can actually cast. He's pretty obliged to play that in combat here, though he was still at a high life total before that attack.
Andrew just passes the turn, 5 mana up. We go back to Kassis, who draws a card. So the reason Andrew's not going for a combo here is this is playing it safer?
Yeah, he knows that if Ely just doesn't do anything, then he's going to win this game. He's so far ahead on board. And when Ely does do something, he doesn't have a ton of mana floating around anymore. He had to sacrifice all 3 of those Birds of Paradise, so he's going to have to commit a lot of resources to whatever action he takes.
Well, here is something from Kassis. It's a copy of Eternal Witness. We'll see just what he's going to target. It's a start, but with the only cards in Ely's graveyard are mana creatures and that one, and I guess, no, it's just mana creatures. So not a great Eternal Witness.
Yeah, and when Ely taps out here, we're going to see Andrew go for some action of his own.
So he gets back the Noble Hierarch from the graveyard, casts it again, and passes. Now this is a tap out from Ely. It should be safe for Andrew Maine to try to combo. Here's Collected Company. Finds Spellskite and Noble Hierarch. Okay, now things are very safe.
Yeah, that one's going to be tough to beat.
And we go to Maine's turn. He untaps.
And then Eternal Witness in hand. I assume we're going to see that find Court of Calling and go for the combo.
I mean, has Gavany Township in play. That should win also.
We could just beat down.
So I think he might not have Eternal Witness based on how he's playing. Yeah, so he'll go ahead and pump the team. Perhaps he doesn't have the Eternal Witness. This will work, though.
Yeah, unless Ely finds a way to combo out or flip that Westvale Abbey again, Andrew is well ahead playing a fair game of Magic.
So here comes the team. It is a 4-3 Kitchen Finks, a rather large Birds of Paradise here. 3 counters on it? Yeah, that bird's been bolstered on too many times.
It's
and some Noble Hierarchs, Anafenzas, just everybody.
It's a Restoration Angel-sized bird.
It's a
I don't think there's a good pun.
Yeah, I don't have one. All right. Yeah, I was like, oh, come on. It's, Nope, don't have one. Some 2-1s. It is Kitchen Finks and Eternal Witness. They will trade with the Kintree Spirit. That creature hits the graveyard. Damage will come across. 4 from the Finks, 3 from the Bird, 1 from the Hierarch. Puts Kassis at 9. No blockers outside of this 1 Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, and that was a good block for Kassis. Anafenza was the combo piece that he could actually get off the board in that combat. Were he to get in front of the Kitchen Finks, that would just come right back.
Tough spot here.
There's all kinds of things that Andrew Maine can do. Plenty of passive victory for here. Eternal Witness comes down. He has the option to combo yet. Could just keep beating down. Is probably good enough.
Another Anafenza. Yeah, this plus a Township activation should be good enough. Even without a Township activation, just an attack should do it.
Yeah, and I believe he peeled a Court of Calling for a turn as well.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, maybe he's on the game plan. Maybe Ely doesn't know if he's playing the combo or not.
I don't believe that
No,
we are
we've never
playing.
seen a Viscera Seer. Maybe he doesn't have them.
Could be one of those honest combat Anafenza Kintry Spirit
Yeah,
decks.
you play birds, you play an Anafenza, you get counters. It's good. It's efficient.
Yeah, that's some high synergy deck building.
It's much better than Voice of Resurgence, you know.
Much better.
You know, and we play this Malira because sometimes people play Infect.
Main deck hate.
Yeah,
It's a
just get ahead.
Silver bullet for our Court of Calling.
Okay, here we go. Ely is going to collect a company, and now Maine will. Oh wait, the jig's up. We are the combo build. Here's Viscera Seer.
Very unfortunate that he had to show that he was the combo deck here.
All right, it's going to gain a lot of life. Those of you aren't aware how the combo works. He sacrifices Kitchen Finks. When Kitchen Finks dies, it persists back as a 2/1. Comes into play, you can bolster onto a creature from Anafenza. How about that Kitchen Finks? So the 1/1 counter and the -1/-1 counter, they cancel out, and you have a 3/2 Finks, and then you do it again. And the Finks keeps dying, coming back, dying, coming back. Oh yeah, and it gains 2 life every time that happens.
And so Ely's deck is not able to deal an arbitrarily large number of damage, as we discussed. The other aspect of this combo is once Andrew goes off, you're actually able to just pick up your deck, keep everything in the same order, but rotate it around, go back around and find your Murderous Red Cap to make that an arbitrarily large amount of damage.
Because every time you sacrifice a Kitchen Finks, you get a Scry one from the Viscera Seer, you can pick what your next draw is going to be. And Murderous Red Cap seems great. Does the same thing with the Kitchen Finks, except instead of gaining 2 life, it deals 2 damage.
Yep, you have to keep the decks kind of following the same order, but you get to pick which one's on top and where that order starts.
Yeah, it's still a full rotational cycle.
Right.
All right, go ahead and look at the sideboards here. We'll start over with Ely Kassis' side. So he's got a lot of 1-ups here, which I think you kind of expect out of these collected company decks. I'll run through the list. Which ones are relevant for this matchup? Now, these are bullets that he wants, depending on what he's playing against.
The one that stands out in a big way is Linvala, Keeper of Silence.
Oh, goodness.
Going to stop your opponent's mana creatures. It's going to turn off Viscera Seer, Spellskite. There's a very long list of cards that this positively interacts with, so that one's huge. It's kind of funny how Gaddock Teague is good against both of these decks. I don't think that we bring it in collected company mirrors.
Well, the only cards in Kassis' deck it turns off are collected company. Nothing else in his deck actually gets stopped by it.
So
Maine doesn't have
chords.
Yeah, there's no chords.
So there are more cards in Maine's deck, so that one could be coming in.
If they play a game of fair magic, meaning like no tutoring, no comboing, just I play guys, you play guys, do you think Ely's the favorite?
I think that he ends up with a lot of awkward cards if he draws like a bunch of Retreat to Coral Helms. There's games where those will pull ahead. I think that the Abzan company just has, on average, more powerful spells.
Okay, so even then, a fair game, maybe Ely's not that far ahead.
Yeah, I'm really not huge on the Retreat to Coral Helm package, if I'm being entirely honest. I like the combo that just relies on me playing good magic cards like Kitchen Finks, though Viscera Seer is not the most exciting card on its own. I will admit that.
So what you can do here, which is pretty interesting between the two players, is remember that Ely did not show in either the Reliquary or Retreat to Coral Helm game 1, so Andrew may not know what's up. That said, let's look at his sideboard and what he has in here.
I gotta figure one way or the other, Abrupt Decay is going to be pretty solid against your opponent's Birds of Paradise deck. He should present something we can hit with that. Path to Exile, generally good against these green-white decks. There's going to be creatures that are becoming getting out of the graveyard, so exiling them is quite powerful.
Orzhov Pontiff, I think, would be pretty good. There are a lot of... Ely did just sacrifice Social Abbey to 4 X1s last game.
Yeah, you'll find some spots for Phyrexian Revoker. So you can, if you have... or if your opponent has birds and you don't, you just go ahead and name that and the like. Yeah, and maybe another Avacyn just to go over the top. Flyers are quite solid.
So, one thing I'm going to take a second to talk about Starcy Games Game Night. You know, we covered, what was it, the Indianapolis Open a few weeks back, but it's a new month since then. That was in March, which, you know, a new month means a new Game Night pin, which is great. I don't know if you've seen it yet. These are great. Okay, so how this works is there are game nights all over the country at a store near you, which you can find, and we give away exclusive pins and tokens at each of them as prizes. So in April, if you found a game night, and they have them, Slobber and Mile Driver is given away. This is the great dog goblin.
Everyone's favorite Slobber and Mile Driver.
All right. In May, the giveaway was the Manatiri Mentor, which I personally really like. You know, he's kind of Jeskai. He's kind of a fish. Or aquatic creature. These aren't actually fish. They're just
He's
They
not
live in the
remotely
ocean.
fish-like.
No, they live in water. I think anything. Those are all fish. Things that live
Everything in the water
everything
is
that
a
lives in water is a
fish.
fish. Yeah, there's whale fish. You know, like
People that live on houseboats.
starfish. That's a fish. Yeah. All right. Well, next month, we haven't seen this one yet. We are going to have the June promo, which is the otter spell, which is also a fish, for the record.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a hairy fish.
Yeah, yeah. But this is the 1/1 wizard token. Maybe I just realized it's the 4th edition art. That's what he's parroting, right? Right, the two fingers.
Of Dan, the fish?
No. The otter. He's got the 2 fingers up, and the energy's coming from his fingers. Right? That's the 4th edition counterspell art.
Oh, counterspell.
Otter spell. Yeah, fish spell.
Oh, I was thinking of things that were fish. That's how I ended up on Dan.
Yeah, Dan's a fish from Arabian Nights. I think that actually is a fish, right?
Okay. Is Dan not in 4th ed?
Yeah, right there. There you go. That's the otter spell right there. Let's give him the peace sign.
So is this guy a fish?
Is he in water?
Oh, he taps for 2 water mana to
I don't
cast
see
him.
any water on the card.
Two water mana.
He's surrounded by water mana.
Will cast the counterspell.
So when you play counterspell, and I know that there's a card that you've played sometimes, right?
I've played a few.
All right, is this your art?
No. My art is Mercadian Mask with Tempest being a close second.
Okay. I've always been a fan of the Ice Age art. So Mercadian Mask, all right, that one's cool.
Your spell has been rendered useless. It is, however, quite pretty.
The Saprison Vizier, I see.
She's so wise and so condescending. She's kind of my hero. Let's look at the Tempest one. This one is from Urte Wizard Adept. Also
can you just do the flavor right offhand before we even show it? We just know it.
It was probably a lousy spell in the first place.
I do like that flavor text. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have a match on which we're going to go for here. Is that Urtai? No, that's the guy Urtai's countering
that guy's
so that's
getting
the
wrecked.
Red Wizard.
That guy's getting wrecked by Urte.
I like the Ice Age one. It's like the woman with birds. I don't really know what's going on, but
She's
it's
not
cool.
snarky.
I like birds. So Ely with the turn 1 Noble Hierarch. He's on the play. Andrew Maine took a mulligan this game, as with Obzon Company. We'll see how they board in the sideboard as we get to game 2. A lot of it's just these silver bullet kind of cards like Orzhov Pontiff.
Right, more things that Andrew can find with his Court of Calling or flip in off Collected Company.
It's kind of interesting. I felt like Andrew has more on the board here. He has the option to go to a lot of removal spells. Path to Exile, Abrupt Decay.
He can become a much more interactive deck.
Ely doesn't have that aspect.
And that's part of the downside of being a Bant deck over being an Obzon deck. You couldn't play Abrupt Decay if you wanted to.
He could play Path to Exile.
He can.
Actually, he does in the main.
Right. He can and he does.
Okay, fair enough.
But he's limited to 4, whereas the Abzan deck could have access to Path and Abrupt Decay. And he can and he does. Only 5 copies total all on the sideboard, but it's more than 4.
Yeah, just 2 actually, because he's stick. He doesn't have the full play set.
Okay.
Well, he has the 2 and the 2 Declaration in stone.
Right. Yeah, he could go to 8.
Ooh. So this is a nice play. Okay, turn 2, Ely Kassis is going to Twisted Image the Noble Hierarch. Talking about kill spells, this is my kind of kill spell.
That's a huge swing. There's a good number of targets for that card in this matchup as well. There's Birds, Noble Hierarch, Spellskite.
I like my kill spells to cost 1 and cantrip.
Yeah. 1 mana, 2-for-1 removal spell.
1 mana, kill a guy, draw a card. Andrew will replace it with Birds of Paradise, but that's going to punish him, especially considering he was already on the mulligan.
Right, on turn 2 only using 1 mana. And if Ely had another Twisted Image or something like that, even Declaration in Stone would be a big tempo swing.
He does play 2 Twisted Images. It could happen.
That would be just backbreaking. Does have to start doing proactive things of his own, though.
Yeah, I did feel that in the last game where Ely was keeping pace very well, but
how about that?
How about the sideboard card you were talking about, Linvala? This is the old Linvala. This is the one that just wrecks this matchup. It is a...
Now there's pressure on Maine to have a Path to Exile here.
Activated creature abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. That includes mana abilities. A lot of these effects don't. This one does. Birds of Paradise is an 0/1.
Right. It's just a 0/1 creature with flying, so it can block Linvala. That's about the text box on that card right now.
Andrew cannot Abrupt Decay Linvala, so he needs to Fiend Hunt it or Path it.
Yep. I don't foresee him trapping it in combat. He does have access to Archangel Avacyn.
Ooh, okay, so if Ely attacks, then 3 turns down the road, Andrew can flash an Avacyn into play.
Though right now, Ely does have Noble Hierarch, so when it's attacking, likely going to be a 4/5.
Okay, you're right. Andrew's play was just Malira, Sylvac, Outcast, no third land, and a passive the turn. And Negate was the draw for Ely. We talked about how Andrew needed a Path to Exile. Now he needs 2.
Yeah, things are getting a little bit worse for Andrew every turn.
Were this happening earlier, Andrew could play lands, creatures, and maybe Gavany Township, perhaps win that way?
Yeah, he did just find his third land. It did have to come off the top, so even that line is going to have to be the result of peeling some good cards on consecutive turns.
Andrew's going to play Kitchen Finks and go up to 14. On end step, Ely Kassis will cast Collected Company. So here come more creatures. Remember, Ely's not really comboing here. He's more just beating down. He finds a Noble Hierarch off the Collected Company and nothing else, so that's a bit of a miss.
On its face, it is a miss. However, that Noble Hierarch does change Ely's clock.
Okay, because now we have 2 Exalteds.
Right. The
So it's
Linvala will now
5.
be attacking for 5. That's a 3-turn clock against 14.
All right.
So
Maybe we'll have to see.
not good value, but medium result on the board.
So Ely's going to play, and this will show what's going on. It is Retreat to Coral Helms. This is the uncommon from Battle for Zendikar. Whenever a land comes into play under Ely's control, he may either tap or untap a creature, or he may scry 1. So he played that, made his land drop, and then scried 1. An attack from Linvala then put Andrew Maine down to 9.
Yep. With a favorable board position and with him just needing to keep ahead, choosing to scry here.
Andrew, draw Birds of Paradise. He'll play it. His hand is 2 Collected Companies and a Court of Calling. So it looks like he's setting up right now to try to end-step Court of Calling. I would assume for 3 to get the Fiend Hunter.
Yeah, getting that Linvala off the board is going to be huge for him. He has to be... Ely does have that negate, though, so...
Yeah, it's not free here.
Is not going to end up working out.
Linvala is going to attack. It's exalting up to a 5/6. And here's the Court of Calling from Maine. I can't imagine Ely will let this stand. And it will not. Negate takes care of the Cord. That was all of Andrew's blockers, so he's going to go to 4.
Right, and now with the Retreat to Coral Helm alone, Ely has that fetch land in play. Another land can just tap those birds next turn, and then Andrew has to have a spell to just not die.
Yeah, if Andrew... Oh, goodness. Another fetch land. So that's 3 taps now for Kassis. If Andrew draws a land, I was going to say, he does have... His last 2 cards are both Collected Companies. Maybe he can just find that Fiend Hunter?
Yeah, if he finds it naturally, that's what he needs here. He can't combo because Visceral Seer can't do anything with Linvala on the table.
You drew a card. I don't believe it was a land. May have been a 3rd Collected Company.
That is the opposite of what he was looking for.
Yeah, that's not really a card. The game's not going to go on long enough for that to matter. We go back to Kassis. We'll see if he starts... Yeah, he's going to use a land drop for the turn to tap a birds. He's going to crack a fetch land. This is Retreat to Coral Helm working. I believe he's going to try to tap out that other Birds of Paradise.
Yeah, no other mode really makes sense here. When he has lethal on board, there's no reason to be scrying 1. Thinking a little bit about which land to get. It could matter. Andrew could have something like a Path to Exile here. Ely no longer at the ready with a negate. And then there's the tap, and in a second here we're going to be seeing swing for lethal, and there it is. Game number 2 going to Ely.
And banking hard on the sideboard. That's why you put the cards in the deck for Ely Kassis, the Linvala Keeper of Silence, really silencing Andrew's deck.
Yeah, keeping him from really getting anywhere. Those Birds of Paradise not able to generate mana outside of that 1 turn where you could convoke them for Court of Calling. Those 3 Collected Companies just getting stuck in Maine's hand.
Linvala just keeping him out of combo range.
Keeping him out of range of casting his spells.
All right, the player's going to get ready for game 3. All right, going back to Andrew's sideboard. If he didn't have the Path to Exiles in the deck already, you got to think they're in now.
Yeah, he just needs to have as many answers to Linvala as possible. He doesn't know to a certainty whether or not Ely's deck has Court of Calling. We know that it does not. You can't Collected Company into Linvala, but
So
if it shows up
hard
at all...
yeah, there's not... Ely just has to draw it naturally or scry into it with Retreat to Coral Helm. It's not that... Yeah, that's... I mean, he does have one, and if he finds it, it'll be great, but I suppose it's not easy.
It's not a given. It's the kind of thing where eventually he will find it, but not in the same way that Andrew has inevitability on finding what he's looking for.
Well, players are going to get ready for Game 3. This one likely putting the winner into the top 8 of the Invitational. The loser may even have a chance to get in. It's going to be close.
Yeah, these are really solid records. 11 or X3-1 after 16 rounds is going to be that maybe record. We'll see as things shake up here, but this match does matter a lot. And it's certainly going to impact your tiebreakers, your position, your seeding in the top 8.
So those of you who've been happy with some of the Star City Games playmats that have been coming out over the last year, I remember my favorite one was Tassiper. I'm kind of a cat person. If you're a dog person, the Slobberin Mile Driver has made his way off game night and into our creature collection. So this is available on playmats, in sleeves, and in player bundles. We have that. So we have the Slobberin Mile Driver. These are all illustrated by Andrea Radek, which does she does all our creature collections. See this? Now you get the full out of Slobberin Mile Driver. See, he's in the car. That's why his face is all blown back, because dogs like to do that when you're driving fast.
Oh, they weren't driving miles in a buggy?
No. See, that's why I thought now the Mile Driver makes sense. Get the dogs in the back seat.
This is the big reveal.
Yeah.
Now we know what is happening.
So we have this one available for you. Also available, this one's not part of game night, but it is the Tiger collection. So if you want to have a cat, because I like the cats more, we have these cute little tigers. You can have them on a playmat too. Available in playmat, sleeves, and player bundles. You can get these and more at starcitygames.com/creature collection.
I'm not a cat person, but I do like that tiger mat quite a bit.
Yeah, there's two of them. He's like going to the water because, they get thirsty sometimes.
Indeed, they do. Getting thirsty like tigers do.
Yeah, they do that. That's why they drink water. Birds of Paradise, the turn 1 play for Andrew Maine. One way for him to jump out ahead of something like Linvala is he can just do it on the basis of mana. Last game, remember, he got his Birds of Paradise, or Snowheart Twisted imaged, and by the time he played his second mana creature, Ely ramped into a turn 3 Linvala.
Yeah. So it was a 2-for-1 on the first one on turn 1, and then just a 4-mana 3/4 flyer that blanked that draw and a couple subsequent draws.
This is me, Noble Hierarch from Ely. Keep in mind, Ely undefeated with Bant Company this weekend. Andrew Maine trying to hand him his first loss.
Yeah, so far. His work is not done yet.
Noble's got him ever so close to this Invitational top 8. It's going to be Anafenza Kintry Spirit for Andrew on turn 2, leaves up a green mana as we go back over to Kassis.
So Kassis' deck, with that turn 1 mana dork, he has the ability to actually combo on turn 3 if he just goes Night of the Reliquary into Retreat to Coral Helm. So that's the big thing to be scared about of this deck.
Yeah, his play was a copy of Voice of Resurgence, so no combo just yet. Speaking of combos, with that Anafenza play, Andrew, there's the
could also combo on turn 3.
Combo back.
Right. These decks are breaking the rules of Modern.
Hey, I have gotten turn 3 by Abzan Company quite a bit. Andrew is going to, on turn 3, play Collected Company. He's doing that main phase. Remember that he saw negates game 1 from Ely.
Right. Waiting doesn't do him any good. It's not like he cares about trapping Voice of Resurgence in combat, because if he casts it on Ely's turn, he's just going to make an elemental.
So Path to Exile will take care of the Kintry Spirit before Collected Company. Ely making sure that he did that just on the off chance that Andrew hit Viscera Sea or Kitchen Finks.
Right. You can't really wait to see, because once you see, they're already on the table.
Yeah, there's no I'm revealing these creatures with Company, I'm about to put them into play, would you like to respond? Once I show you the creatures, they're on the battlefield. So now the Company will resolve. Top 6 cards, Andrew may choose 2 creatures out of them and put them into play. It looks like he's going to have some options. Birds of Paradise, Kasali Pride Mage. Looks like it's going to be Fiend Hunter and Kasali Pride Mage chosen. So Fiend Hunter will hunt away that Voice of Resurgence, and then the Cat Wizard will join him on the battlefield. It's kind of my favorite combination of creature types there. I like that it's a cat.
Cat Wizard?
It's a Cat Wizard,
Because you like cats, and
the
you're,
cats, and I'm a wizard, right.
Really resonates with you.
Cats wouldn't cast spells. That's ridiculous. Sorry, Pride Mage does. If he does, not get credit. He has to. Part of his spell casting is he kills himself. Let's see.
That's not a very good spell.
No, it's not.
This is some kind of horrible cat cult.
That's how the Kasali work, I guess. Yeah. Kasali Pride Mage joins Ely's side of the battlefield as well. So one on each side. Now, interestingly enough, there aren't very many artifacts and enchantments that matter in this matchup. These creatures are just being played as a value card.
It's a 2/2 with Exalted. There's a couple odd targets. The Pride Mages on main side can hit Retreat to Coral Helm out of Kassis. So that is kind of relevant. Not
part
in
of
this
the combo.
game. Right. Kassis can hit a Spellskite. Probably not going to happen.
An attack from Kasali Pride Mage will exalt it to a 3/3. Kassis will even up the life totals. There'll be 15 all. 3 cards in Andrew Maine's hand. We will see if any of these matter. It seems like the window right now is wide open for Andrew to assemble the combo. Now, he may or may not have it.
Right. Ely is representing 2 mana here, so he does have negate mana on the ready. So Andrew presumably sticking to mostly creatures.
Andrew's going to try to press farther ahead at the fair game. He plays Eternal Witness, getting back that copy of Collected Company. Now, he only has 3 lands, so he can't cast it this turn, but he's just setting up for more value.
Right, and having it here, you're putting a lot of pressure on Ely's mana. At that turn, Ely left up that 2 potential mana for a negate, and now Ely has to untap his lands and choose between casting a spell on a board that he's behind on or continuing to represent negate against a Collected Company that he knows is there.
Right, so we go back to Kassis. Yeah, he's not getting very far ahead on the board, and a lot of times in these company mirrors, when a player gets behind, that's when they start turning to the combo element of their deck.
Right.
But you mentioned Kasali Pride Mage actually keeping Kassis's combo in check.
Indeed. Also, when you compare the tools that Abzan Company has to find its combo to the tools that Ely has to find his combo, Ely just has to find Retreat to Coral Helm on the top of his deck.
Yeah, he'll swing with Pride Mage. Now, Kassis could always just play Linvala, right?
That'd be a great one, but another one that he does just have to find on the top of his deck.
He'll swing, put Maine down to 11, and then play a copy of Scavenging Ooze. So, yeah, Ely is definitely just going to try to win this game via regular damage. He does have the larger creatures in play at the moment. He'll pass, leaving up possible negate mana.
Yep, definitely putting Andrew to the test. You've seen a negate from me. I'm going to represent this 2 mana here. Are you going to cast Collected Company?
Andrew's draw for the turn was Wall of Roots. You see him untap and then tap 4. Looks like he's going to go for that Collected Company again, the one he got back. At some point here.
I saw Viscera Seer come off the top here.
So that first draw was off a copy of Horizon Canopy.
Oh,
so that's why he has 2 cards here. And if you're wondering how Andrew Maine got to 11, he had 2 copies of Horizon Canopy in play.
That adds up quick. No option to produce colorless mana or do anything but take a damage every time you tap it.
So it'll be an attack from Kasali Pride Mage, which will even things up at 11. And now from Andrew, looks like he's going to go for Wall of Roots. Now there's reason for Andrew to want to collect a company on Ely's turn. It will force the issue on Ely's mana.
Forces the issue on his mana, not only pressures Ely's mana next turn, but just wastes the mana that he's representing right now.
Yeah, the play is Wall of Roots. And he's going to immediately, looks like actually go for this Collected Company main phase. Here it is. Does Ely have the negate? Big test here. He does not. The Collected Company resolves.
That was a pretty aggressive Collected Company. It suggests to me that the rest of Andrew's hand's probably pretty strong.
I think it works out very well. It looks like he has a Kitchen Finks on the top there, and he's found a second creature in addition. What's turning into a damage race will be very good for him.
With Ely having the Scavenging Ooze in play, if Andrew goes for a combo with a Kitchen Finks, he is able to exile the Finks from the graveyard, so he won't be able to persist and combo off that way.
So Kitchen Finks is one of the creatures. We'll look at what the other one is here. Looks like it's Eternal Witness. Yeah, he's going to try to get back to the Collected Company. Now, Scavenging Ooze is going to have none of that.
Yeah, and there we see Scooz exile that.
So right, with Ooze in play, Andrew actually may not be able to combo. He just has to win the honest way.
Yeah, and Andrew is quite a bit ahead on board. So Ely has some catching up to do in this honest game.
13 to 11 for Andrew. He's up on creatures, but there's some utility, right? Scavenging Ooze turns off Kitchen Finks' ability to persist.
Right.
Ely does get to keep playing spells. We'll see how this turns out. This Andrew definitely looks ahead, but a lot of those are small cards. You know, when the Ooze gets up to 5/5, I feel that Ely may be able to slow down this game.
That is one thing that Ely has going for him, is that Andrew does not have a Gavany Township in play just yet. He has not been able to produce one.
Yeah, that Township would kind of seal it up.
Right. It's clean, and it's something that Ely really can't interact with.
Ely goes for 3 mana. It is Retreat to Coral Helm. Now, Andrew is tapped out. Oh, wow. Ely's going to play a fetch land. He goes to untap the Noble Hierarch. Oh, no, Andrew has 1 mana available. I should correct myself.
But the Horizon Canopy is still untapped.
So the fetch land will untap Noble Hierarch. Not certain that Andrew even needs to answer the Retreat to Coral Helm.
You definitely don't need to respond to the untap trigger there, because it's unlikely that Ely is going to be casting. You know, he could have a 3-drop here. He could cast another Reliquary, but he can't combo with it this turn. And then that informs you that you want to pop the Pride Mage. Spending a turn not casting the Knight doesn't have a dramatic impact on this game. The sports spate is relatively clogged.
Here's the play from Kassis. This is the card from Standard we were talking about. Declaration in Stone is the play. He's going to target the Eternal Witness on Andrew Maine's side. So that'll take care of 2 witnesses, giving Andrew 2 clues if it resolves. Can't imagine it's the card that Andrew was expecting to see, but the Eternal Witnesses will enter exile.
Yeah, and with Andrew controlling so many creatures, Eternal Witness is not an attractive target for a removal spell. Even if you're killing 2 of them, getting them removed from the game was kind of trivial with the Scavenging Ooze on Ely's side. He's just saying, all right, you have too many creatures, and I need to do something about this.
Yeah, here comes Scavenging Ooze. It's going to exalt up to a 3/3 at the moment. Or correction, this is a 4/4. We have a Noble Hierarch and a Kasali Pride Mage. And Andrew with no really good blocks here. Could chump with Wall of Roots. I don't think he wants to double block with the Fiend Hunter. That doesn't look good at all.
Right, and the Voice Resurgence just goes right back, and he has a little bit of life to play with just yet. This attack only dropped him down to 9.
Well, what I like is Andrew, between Horizon Canopy and these 2 clue tokens, has a lot of cards coming.
Right.
And now on end step, he's going to go ahead and use Wall of Roots to make a mana, sacrifice that Kasali Pride Mage to get rid of Retreat to Coral Helm.
Figures he's going to do that one way or the other, right? So he uses the mana he has access to right now.
He actually does this in response to a fetch land from Ely, and then he's going to go ahead and use his mana to path away the Scavenging Ooze. And I really like this from Andrew's side. He got these clue tokens, right? And this Rising Canopy, and now he's trading removal with creatures, so he's turning the game into an attrition game. And if the longer this goes, those clue tokens on the Horizon Canopy are going to add up.
Right, and Ely's Force State is a mana creature and a 2-mana 2/2. Both creatures have Exalted, so they're reasonable at attacking. They can't block for very much for very long. Ely is down to 10. Andrew does have a Kitchen Finks.
Yeah, Andrew's at 8. He had to take a damage to cast that Path to Exile. It's turning into a really interesting game here. You feel that Andrew's still in the upper hand seat, but
and now a draw, like a Collected Company or even a Court of Calling to find something specific, while Ely's tapped down to just that basic forest, could be huge.
All right, a drawback from Andrew. It's going to be, I believe, another copy of Path to Exile. That's a great one here if you want to suddenly become this attrition deck. I wouldn't mind having one. Now, he may have to save it for a Linvala.
Right. There's nothing that you need to use that removal spell on right away, but it's going to make it even harder for Ely to pull back into this game.
Wall of Roots will crack one of those clues, and it finds a Collected Company on Andrew's side.
Yeah, had plenty of mana to play with to draw a card off of that first clue, and finding the Collected Company rewarded him in a big way.
Yeah, that's great. Looks like he's going to continue coming to the board. He plays. He could go for the win here. He plays Viscera Seer. Now, if that collected company hits an Anafenza Kindred Spirit or a Malira Silvok Outcast, it's a full combo. Swing from Kitchen Finks put at Kassis. Now, if Kassis blocks, then Andrew loses the combo, but I don't think he's blocking.
Right.
Ely goes to 7. He passes the turn, and on upkeep is going to cast a collected company. It looks like he wanted to leave up Path to Exile, and the only way he can do that is to get an extra mana off the Wall of Roots.
Right, that's the idea there. So the cost that he's paying is Ely gets to untap his blue mana, and the benefit is that he gets access to that green mana and the ability to leave up his own white mana.
Okay, so here's an upkeep collected company. Ely is deciding if he wants to respond. And no, that will resolve. And it looks like we may have found an Anafenza on the top and an Orzhov Pontiff. Oh, goodness.
Kill your Noble Hierarch.
Gain infinite life?
Infinite life. In that order.
Yeah, which way do you stack them? I don't know if that matters. Here is Pontiff and Kintree Spirit. Those are the selections from Andrew Maine. And we'll see if Ely has a response. He would need a targeted removal spell right now. Pontiff figures that's going to shrink away Ely's board. And we have Kitchen Finks, we have Anafenza, we have Viscera Seer. That is an infinite life combo.
So we know that Ely's card isn't Negate. Still could be Path to Exile. If he, say, is there an additional copy of Scavenging Ooze? He has more Scavenging Ooze in his deck. If he could collect a company into Scavenging Ooze in response to an attempt at a combo, that would be what he needs to stay in this game.
So he is going to use putting the Orzhov Pontiff trigger on the stack. This is a neat play. He's going to sacrifice it to Viscera Seer and then haunt it onto Ely's Noble Hierarch. So what that means is the Pontiff will give -1/-1 twice to Ely's team, and it'll sweep the board.
Right. You get to stick it onto the 1 toughness creature before the first -1/-1 resolves, and then it comes back again to get rid of that 2 toughness creature.
Exactly. So Ely will lose both creatures. He'll floats a mana off the bird and uses the Primate to blow up the clue token. I like that he's doing that when Andrew has an infinite life combo in place. I'm gonna get your clue token.
Yeah, you gotta show him who's boss.
All right, well, we're still on Ely's upkeep. He will pass the turn. We go back to Andrew's side, and now he draws Murderous Redcap off the top.
Yep, knew that one was there from his scrying. No reason to go for infinite life.
Yeah. And Ely shows he has a Path to Exile.
And Andrew didn't have to combo at all because Ely was on 7, and his last 2 creatures just died.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. Actually, with both those cards in play, Andrew actually can combo through a Path to Exile with both of the Persisters in play. If Ely targets one of them while one of the Persists on the stack, then so like Ely can pick whether he wants infinite damage or infinite life, but Andrew will do the other one with the Path to the Exile.
Ely can path the Anafenza,